The story begins with a disabled girl in a wheelchair. Her name is Chloe, and she is sitting in a cafe and drinking coffee. Suddenly, a naughty young man comes and wants to sit with her and get to know her, but Chloe pours water on the chair until he does not. Sit down, but he is determined and sits on the chair even though the chair is wet. Chloe is surprised by this behavior of hers. He sits down and tells her, "My name is Dustin," and asks her about her name, but she says to God, "Is it possible that you're coming and sit on the chair that is wet until you know my name?" He told her, "I want to drink coffee with you." He asked the waiter to ask him for coffee, and when the waiter comes, he sees Dustin's wet place and asks him what this is, and here Chloe laughs at this behavior. Dustin asks for coffee, and then he asks her to tell him her name, and Chloe writes her number for him on the napkin so that they meet at no time. But in the meantime, Chloe is moving, and suddenly Dustin notices that Chloe is walking in a wheelchair, and this thing caused Dustin to be shocked, and he does not know what to say, and here she tells him, "My name is Chloe," and asks him if he wants to meet her after learning that she is in a wheelchair. But Dustin is embarrassed and does not know how to respond to her, and he tells her to call you tomorrow, but he is hesitant at the same time, and when she walks away, Dustin throws the handkerchief, and it seems that he was shocked by seeing him in a wheelchair and that he is still calling her. Some time ago, Dustin applied for a job as a driver for a rich person, and Dustin did not know the details of this job. But the rich person told him, "You will get the job from today, and I want you to transport my daughter so that she can receive her medications on an ongoing basis." This person calls for his daughter, and when the girl comes, we discover that this girl is Chloe, and Dustin is confused by this. He sees her, but he likes her personality, and then he goes to take her to the car. But he discovers that Chloe got into the car without his help. And he knows Chloe is a stubborn girl and not easy. When they get in the car, Dustin tells her, "We met a few days ago," and Chloe says to him, "I remember." And Das says, "I really called you back." Chloe interrupts him and tells him, "You didn't even think to call. And when you were coming, you would lie," and Chloe would be angry and tell him that you are not the first person to act like this. What she meant was that all men were like him. Those who knew a girl in a wheelchair would avoid them, and Dustin would be embarrassed and did not know what to say to her. Then he would take her to the treatment place and wait for her for hours, and after a while she would come out. Dustin brings her ice cream, but he discovers that the ice cream fell on her clothes in the car. And Chloe is upset by this behavior, and Dustin apologizes to her and tells her that I will clean it at night, but Chloe is smiling, and it is clear that she is impressed with Dustin after this behavior because she felt a kind of concern for him, and she tells him she loves ice cream with nuts, and she rides in the car. The next day, Chloe is eating ice cream and shouting at Dustin from the window. Her father arrives and asks her about the driver's competence, but Chloe says to God that he is good and let him stay, and Abu is surprised by her because she is complicated and cannot bear any driver who stays with her at the job. Her father is happy and wishes her to adapt. What a situation, and after a while, a new young man arrives to propose to Chloe and talk about his qualifications, but Chloe does not like it, and Dustin comes to take her for treatment. Here, her father asks her to think about the marriage decision, but she refuses. Dustin is present and her father asks her to think, but suddenly she says that I agree, and this thing surprised her father. He's sitting and Dustin is listening to this talk, and it is clear to him that he has begun to love her. And when they are riding in the car, Chloe is upset because of her decision, and she tells him not to take me to the treatment sessions because I do not feel that they are beneficial for me, and she asks him to take her to the place for entertainment according to his taste. And at night they are sitting together in the middle of the nice weather and the rain, and Dustin tells her a story, the movie they were about to watch, and here Chloe's admiration for Dustin increased, and Dustin unintentionally let his hand fall on Chloe's hand, and Chloe remained silent and hesitant, and then she told him, "My father always tells me about more than one young man so that I can get involved with him so that I won't be alone." She asks him to drive her home, and whoever delivers her, she asks him to leave her on the chair. And Whoever takes her away, there will be a romantic moment between them and he will kiss her and her father will love her and be happy because he feels that Chloe has finally met a young man she loves. At night during dinner, Chloe is sitting with the groom's family and Dustin comes to mind and asks those sitting for ice cream. The groom is surprised by this request and goes to get her ice cream, but after a little while later, Dustin arrives and greets them, and Chloe is happy when she sees him, and she repeats the same behavior she did when they first met, leaving Mai on the chair until he did not sit down, and they repeat the same moment, but this time they know each other well and are smiling, and she gives her phone number, and her father knows what is happening and smiles because they are close to each other, and Dustin calls her in the middle. Those present and ask her for a date, and Chloe agrees, and when the groom comes, they are surprised, and Chloe says, "To God, I am leaving," and her father apologizes to the groom, and here finally Dustin drops ice cream for Chloe, and they go on a date until they continue their lives together. And here is the end of the story. If you like this content, please subscribe to support us.